When Liu Bei and his sworn brothers reached Yingchuan, the flames of war still burned, but the tide had already turned. Huang Fusong and Zhu Jun had already regained control of the field, and the Yellow Turban forces were beginning to collapse. Soon, news arrived that Cao Cao was leading troops in pursuit of the retreating Yellow Turban forces. The fighting in Yingchuan was nearing its end. Since the battle here had already died down, Liu Bei prepared to return. On the road, however, he saw a prison cart moving slowly ahead. Inside it was Lu Ji. Only then did Liu Bei learn what had happened. The court had sent a eunuch inspector to oversee the campaign, but the inspector had demanded a bribe. When Lu Ji refused, he returned to the capital and accused Lu Ji of delaying the war. The court was furious. Lu Ji was stripped of command and sent back to the capital in chains. Zhang Fei was enraged. He wanted to break open the prison cart and kill the escorting soldiers. Liu Bei stopped him at once, saying the court would surely make a fair judgment. Guan Yu remained silent for a moment. Then he said that with Liu Ji gone, Guangzhong was no longer a place they could rely on. The politics there were too tangled, and it was better to return to Qingzhou and decide their next step later. But before they could get home, war drums thundered behind them again. From higher ground, they saw the Han army in retreat. Yellow turban banners covered the field, and on one great banner, 4 characters snapped in the wind. General of Heaven. Zhang Jie, the supreme leader of the Yellow Turban Rebellion, had returned with his main force and launched a counterattack. As his army pursued Dongzhuo, Liu Bei and his brothers charged in and drove the rebels back. Dongzhuo had been saved, but he showed no gratitude. To him, the 3 brothers were merely low-ranking soldiers. When Zhang Fei heard this, his anger exploded. They had saved the man's life, yet he treated them like dust. He rushed toward Dongzhuo's camp, ready to kill him, but Liu Bei and Guan Yu held him back. That night, the 3 brothers made their choice. They left Dongzhuo's command and joined Zhu Jun instead. By then, Huang Fusong had already defeated the Yellow Turbans at Guiyang and killed Zhang Liang. His victory shook the court, and he was promoted to a senior military post. Cao Cao had also earned merit around Yingchuan and the Bian River. He was appointed cavalry commandant, and his name began to rise. Zhu Jun now pressed harder against Zhang Bao. As the Yellow Turbans suffered defeat after defeat, their unity broke apart. In the end, one of Zhang Bao's own officers killed him and surrendered. Only a few rebel forces remained, gathered in Yuan city. Zhu Jun did not rush the assault. Instead, he sealed Yuan city's gates and cut off its supplies, slowly driving the rebels inside into desperation until they were ready to surrender. But Zhu Jun refused them. In his eyes, accepting their surrender too easily would send the wrong message. Rebels could rise up, plunder the land, and face no real punishment as long as they surrendered in the end. Liu Bei understood the danger, but he saw another problem. If the rebels were trapped with no way out, they would fight to the death, only increasing the losses on the Han side. So he proposed leaving one path open during the attack, drawing the rebels out and destroying them in pursuit. The plan worked. The rebels tried to escape, and Liu Bei and his brothers struck them in pursuit, cutting them down as they fled. But the battle was not over. The Yellow Turbans were not yet destroyed, and their remaining forces soon struck back. Then Sun Jian arrived with more than 1,000 local volunteers. With his help, the Han forces finally broke through Yuan city. The Yellow Turban Rebellion was now falling apart. Zhu Jun returned to the capital in triumph. For helping suppress the rebellion, he was promoted again. He also reported the achievements of Liu Bei and Sun Jian to the court. Sun Jian was rewarded. With military merit and support from old connections in the capital, he received an official post and a noble title. The court clearly valued him. By contrast, Liu Bei was given only a minor post as commandant of Anxi County. It was a low-ranking local military office, responsible mainly for catching bandits and keeping order. Compared with the honors given to Cao Cao and other commanders, it was a poor reward for his service. The men who had once followed him began to leave. Of the 500 volunteers he had raised, only a little more than 20 remained. Yet Liu Bei did not treat the post lightly. Though he claimed descent from the Han imperial family, he governed with restraint and cared for the common people. He did not burden them with harsh taxes or needless demands. Life in Anxi began to improve, and the people felt the difference. Less than 4 months later, the court sent an inspector to review the county officials. Liu Bei had only just entered official life and did not yet understand its hidden rules. At first, he believed the visit was a true inspection of his work. But the inspector looked down on his humble background and mocked his claim to imperial blood. Soon, Liu Bei learned what the visit really meant. The inspector expected a bribe. Other county officials offered money or silk to secure a favorable report. Liu Bei had nothing to give, and he refused to play the game. Angered, the inspector arrested one of the local clerks and refused to meet Liu Bei when he came to plead for him. When Zhang Fei heard what had happened, his anger finally broke. He forced his way into the inspector's guest house, seized the inspector by the hair, dragged him out before the crowd, and began beating him in the open. By the time Liu Bei arrived, the inspector was on the ground begging for mercy. Guan Yu urged Liu Bei to kill the corrupt official and leave, but Liu Bei understood that the problem was larger than one man. The inspector was only a small part of a rotten system. Killing him would change nothing. Disappointed and heartsick, Liu Bei removed his official seal and placed it on the table. He was done. That night, under cover of darkness, the three brothers left Anxi behind. They went north to seek refuge with Liu Hui in Daizhou. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode.